people, so even properly prepared poke may still make some individuals ill. Personally, I just don't see the risk being worth it. Accidental poisoning from eating fresh leaves is unlikely, although it has happened, because they taste horrible. But the ripe fruits have a sweetish taste and could accidentally be consumed by unknowing adults and children. I found a study that looked at 1,669 cases of pokeweed poisoning in Kentucky between 2000 and 2019. Ingesting the berries and the uncooked leaves were the cause of most of these poisonings, and children were by far the most common patient in these occurrences. Like many of the phytochemicals found in our native plants, some of the compounds in pokeweed have been shown to have pharmacological properties and are being researched for possible medical use. Pokeweed is one of those unsung heroes when it comes to providing for pollinators and wildlife. It does a little bit of everything. Provides blooms for pollinators, is a host plant for moths, feeds a variety of songbirds, game birds, and mammals, is great umbrella cover for birds and critters, and even provides nesting sites for some of our native bees. On top of all that, it is just a dang impressive plant.
Okay, friends, spectating and speculating number 89. Today we're taking a look at a situation that has been unfolding in Kentucky, in which a county courthouse has basically become a brothel, and perverse things are being asked of people incarcerated in order to get special favors, like maybe a pack of smokes or a toothbrush or something. You know, barter for lustful activity in a place where you are not likely to be observed doing it, and where people that obey you because you are in a position of community authority. Some of these people were elected, sheriffs, county clerks, all that, okay? Registrar of deeds, and so forth, okay? Law enforcement responds to its county courthouse. So this is a county courthouse which bears a just shocking resemblance to all of the stories I've heard about our county law enforcement, and specifically the sheriff's department, going back further than most people can remember. I personally remember all the way back to 1998 because that's when we moved here. But, you know, 30 years of being an educator, you talk to a lot of people, and kids, mostly the grown-ups, would tell me about the old days here in Eden, North Carolina, which used to be Leakesville, North Carolina, but it swallowed up two neighboring townships and renamed itself Eden in the 1960s. Same place, same traditions, same old money, same occult societies, same bizarre secretive fraternal organizations, same addictions, right? I mean, this part of America, right? North Central and North Carolina and South Central Virginia, right? From, I don't know, Roanoke all the way to Raleigh. We've got some history. We've got some serious children of Lamech, ancient old school business practices going on here in Rockingham County, as they do out in Kentucky, which involve what? Well, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
In those moments, but the bottom line, at this point, everything still seems relatively calm.
Well, you know, something that I kind of noticed here is that Mickey, whenever we hear all of his paranoid talk, like after the shooting takes place, it made me wonder how much of that he was doing before the shooting happened. So one of the things that we hear the witnesses say, all of them said the same thing, that he just acted odd.
Yeah, well, he just got up. He just got up. He's disappeared out of the sight of the camera. I've never been in there. Do you know what's what is in the area where he is now? Elizabeth, are you familiar?
Yeah.
What's back there?
I am. So that's an office. That's the front of the office. When you go into the courthouse, you turn down a hallway and you go into the office. So that would be where his secretary would sit.
Okay.
And then there's a door there to the right, and that's the one that Mickey just went to. So he has went to that, that door, and then he goes to this back one, and then the smoking room is right back on the back side of this judge's chambers. It's kind of, there's 3 rooms just back to back to back.
Okay, but although they do smoke in the chamber.
Right? Basically, you know. And I've been watching this case. It fascinates me. About 2 years ago, a fella down in, where was it, Georgia or South Carolina, named Alec Murdaugh, generational power within the judicial system and the legal practices in that part of the state that he was in, and just absolutely rampant pharmaceutical drug addiction. A lot of drinking too, I'm sure, since that's everywhere. Okay, that's really not an option. If you live in America, you're surrounded by people who drink too much. Everywhere you go, honestly. Even if you're in a school or a hospital, the staff there are going to be drinking after work, more likely than not, and probably too much, and then driving home. Okay, it's the wild, wild west from coast to coast in this country, whether people want to admit it or not. Right? New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles. You ever watch that TV show Deadwood about the wild, wild west and all of the crazy industries and just sinful stuff going on to make a buck? Our whole country's like that. My town's like that. And I can see that this town out in Kentucky's like that too. So I've been watching this judge and this sheriff. Some new footage, it's not new, some footage has been let loose. And I'll bet you in this county in Kentucky, they absolutely, this power structure, right, at the courthouse and in law enforcement is all over the place on Sunday morning in churches, looking good, saying the right stuff, smiling, being loyal to the religious brand of your choice. There's probably a pretty big megachurch in that county in Kentucky. That's my guess. And I dare say that a fair amount of these judges and sheriffs and deputies and the staff at the courthouse and in the various small towns, city councils and mayors and stuff around there, they're all going to make appearance at the church on Sunday morning. First Baptist, First Methodist, First Presbyterian. You got to go to the one that was there first if you want to be connected with the old money and the old lodge bros, right? Oh, yes. This is Kentucky. You can bet that the UDC is all over the place there in the female staff and so forth. Odd fellows, they're kind of, Kentucky's sort of the state where the odd fellows begin branching off into the farms out west 150 years ago. So yeah, corruption everywhere. Now, I'm watching this footage, and I see a judge, very powerful dude. You don't say no to a judge when he's asking you to do things that are lawful. But this judge is used to being permitted to do things that are unlawful in exchange for things that only he can do. And I'm quite certain that the sheriff's department there is full of this mess, right? Well, lady, there's something you could do if you want to get off this drunk driving ticket, right? Well, lady, I'm seeing a little bit of meth in your car, but there's a way that we can get around you being arrested for drug possession and driving under the influence. I don't have to describe these things because America is entirely pelvis-focused about everything. Okay, you are imagining it just like everybody who ever watched television commercials can't help but imagine things. There's things we've seen that are normalized that we cannot unsee, and they define us. We are what we eat. Okay? Back in 2001, my family ceased to be involved in cable television. We stopped feeding that beast. And it's a good thing, because my two younger kids are truly not the product of television in so many ways. It shows in the fruit of their walk as human beings. TV isn't there. There's all kinds of social anxieties that they don't have to shoulder because it wasn't impressed into them between 8-minute segments of their favorite shows. Okay?
Chambers also. And we've seen folks smoking, so I guess that's an additional smoking room. Doctor, what did you think of that little moment when he went to the back and then went back to the front and kept that door open for a little bit?
Well, it's difficult to say without seeing what he was doing. But it looked like there was a conversation happening when he was opening the door. So it's possible he was talking about moving locations. But the judge didn't seem to be responsive. He didn't seem to be fazed. So my guess would be that the conversation was very calm. There didn't seem to be any aggression. And here what's interesting is we have what's called excitation transfer and emotional contagion, where if one person starts to become aggressive, you can see it in the reflection of the other person's behavior. And here you just don't see any defense really in the judge.
He's leaning in for the first time now, though. He's leaning in on the desk. It looks like the nature of the conversation is changing as he physically gets closer to the judge here.
Yeah, usually we lean in with more positive, but it looks like here there is an increase in intensity because you can see the judge looks a little bit tense for the first time. This is the first time you're kind of seeing him less calm, but he quickly retreats, and there doesn't seem to be a large increase of emotional intensity, so it still looks relatively calm.
Go ahead, Elizabeth. And it looks like the sheriff has just picked up his phone.
Well, one of the things that I was going to mention was at the very beginning of this video here, when he comes in with the preacher man, it looked to me like there was some tension between Mickey, the sheriff, and the preacher man who he came in with. And it also looked to me like Judge Mullins was kind of smirking a little bit. And that was kind of what I meant earlier when I said, I wonder if Mickey was talking this way earlier in the day, because it seemed to me like they were just kind of rolling their eyes at him, you know, and it just made me wonder if Mickey came in there talking kind of crazy talking, you know, paranoid, and everybody was just kind of rolling their eyes like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And in the video right now, it seemed like he was making some sort of a call, put the phone back down. He's picking the phone up again and appears to be perhaps trying to make another call at this moment.
But anyways, let's get back to this video. Okay, we've got Sheriff Stiles, we've got Judge Kevin Mullins. We are in the judge's office, right? You might call this the judge's chambers. You can see a door to the right into which you can get to a hallway, okay? And we're told by the people that are watching this video that behind the man in the chair, relaxing in the chair, who is Sheriff Stiles, there are doors, and one of them leads to a smoking room, okay? And you will observe throughout this clip here that the judge is repeatedly smoking cigarettes, one after the other. And people who are smokers know that is a sign of anxiety, okay? He's trying to regulate his breathing with a cigarette. And then another one. I think I'll light one now. Just so you know of what I speak, although I'm not nervous, I do smoke. I can see why people smoke. Smoking's not in the Bible, folks. It just isn't. You're not going to find tobacco in there anyplace, okay? So don't attach judgment to something when you've got a damn tree in your own eyeball, okay? Shh. Prescription drug users, alcoholics, and creepy, pervy people that like to use sex toys when no one's looking with people they're not married to for fun and profit and promotion. Shut up. What you're doing is known. What you're doing is what they do there in this place in Kentucky. Okay? Sex and drugs and rock and roll, people in power are there because they want to get a slice of the benefits of working in that brothel. Okay? Everybody that runs for office there and gets in is going to find out where they're working and what's going on. And oh my God, I know some of these people from church, and it's going to get very awkward for people to walk their walk, okay, with authenticity. If they're believers in the Bible and actually believe that you're supposed to obey what it says, and that maybe as grown-up people that spent their whole life in church, certainly they know something about the Ten Commandments, don't lie, right? Certainly they've heard of, by now, Ananias and Sapphira, who lied about what they were doing with their financial blessings to trick the church leaders into thinking they were pious. You can bet this Kentucky county is completely full of that. Just like my county, Rockingham County, North Carolina. All the crooks go to church. There's a few true believers of Jesus Christ and the Word of God in all of these churches. For sure there is. Of course God's going to have people like that in there. But it requires endurance, long-suffering, and persistence. And at some point, you realize, I am in the multitude that God warned us about. I need to go. And that's why people church hop. The places they leave will say that they were causing division or they were a problem, but they'll never ever have a resolution with that person about something that might involve the church needing to change its brand up a little bit into an obedience place. So, Judge is smoking. He's also got what looks like 2 different cups on his desk there, from which he continues drinking. Dry mouth, okay? We don't know what are in those cups. But I mean, if you're smoking in your office rather than going to the smoking room, it means that you're already used to bending the rules in order to make them fit into your own personal comfort zone. So I'm guessing his desk is full of all kinds of recreational things, right? He might have extra burner phones in there for phone calls that he would rather not have within the purview to be provided in here, because we are not hearing what the judge and the sheriff are saying. We're hearing people comment upon it on this YouTube channel, and I think that they're really quite bright about what they're seeing, but they're being binary about it, okay? About the sheriff. Is he crazy? Is he going to get off on an insanity defense, number one? Or number two, was this premeditated murder? Okay? Is he a criminal? A scheming, plotting killer? Or is he crazy? These aren't the only 2 choices. Okay? The third choice is he went in there to arrest the judge. Okay? I think that in his heart of hearts, in those deep, challenging places where morality meets humanity, okay, where good is looking evil right in the eye, okay, remembering that me plus God is a majority, and you or anybody plus Lucifer and a host of demons are just a clown show. I think that Sheriff Stines went in there to arrest the judge and gave him an alternative. Turn around and let me handcuff you. I'm arresting you for this, that, and the other thing. I've shown you the evidence on my phone. I am looking at the evidence that corroborates what I have on your phone, Judge Stines. And I also want you to know that ever since I walked in this room earlier, when we asked those people to leave because I had something important to talk to you about, I've been on the phone with my wife. And she's recording the entire conversation. Okay, so she's hearing me speak to you right now. Right, honey? Yep. Okay, Judge, so you can either let me handcuff you right now, and you're being arrested for these charges and others, or you can do it the hard way. Or you can do it the hard way and make me defend myself. Just like some of our guys on the road when they pull over a drunk at 3 in the morning have to do. Someone who's out of their own mind, and they're going to do it the hard way. If you choose to do it the hard way, just a minute, let me look out the door real quick. Okay, good. Nobody's going to walk in and get hurt. We'll do it the hard way. What's it going to be, Judge? And then the judge starts fussing around over there behind his desk after he throws his hands up, and I think that the sheriff realizes I've got about 1 nano before he has a gun in his hand and fires the first shots. He knows what this corrupt, evil, scheming, hypocritical, moral dirtbag is capable of. Possibly with underage people, certainly with illegal drugs, and certainly with illegal quantities of alcohol consumption, okay? This is where it's legal is no longer a defense, okay? The person that has some minor back injury who's talked their doctor into prescribing them an absolutely monumental amount of pain relief because they're a wuss or because they're high all the time and they like it, right? And they've created mechanisms by which they can continue getting their supply by supplying others. The drug problem isn't the problem. The permission problem is the problem in any place where this crap's going on. Celebrate recovery, my ass. Let's celebrate busting people who need to go to jail and be taken off the streets and never given a position of authority. An elected position of authority. Again. Sorry, you did the drug-fueled orgies in the courthouse or out in the woods with people from the courthouse with underage people. We shame you. We are exhorting and admonishing one another to do the same to you and to stay away from you. Party's over. You're an addict. You're a Kenite. Go to hell. Continue going to hell, just like you have always done and have always known you're doing. Keep going. You've not repented. We are not going in the same direction. We are not going to the same church. We're not sitting in the same pew. I'm not serving on any boards with you creepy clowns. And I will certainly never vote for you or anyone who would let someone like you be there. Judge Mullins.
And a big change, a big dive, relief coming. All right, Angela, thank you.
And as we've been mentioning, today and tomorrow are weather impact alert days here at home.
And there are even more heat alerts in effect all across the country tonight. Ryan Chandler reports.
A truly sweltering start to another summer week.
It's been really hot.
Over 170 million Americans under heat alerts. Some areas in the Midwest and South could feel as hot as 115 degrees. The heat baking streets. Just check out this wallet, melting shut.
This is one of the most dangerous forms of weather, right?
It is. And, certainly some populations in